Thank you all for watching our little presentation there. This is probably, I haven't counted them yet, but we've been, the last 6 or 8 weeks, have probably done 75 meetings with every neighborhood group, churches, museum, of course, the zoo. We had our second meeting today, both to listen, to learn, and to explain what we're doing, and to tweak what we're doing to make it not only a huge financial and musical and art experience for everybody, but at least impact on the neighborhood. What we didn't say in that is, as far as our parking plan, we hired a gentleman who's actually an engineer, a traffic engineer in New York, who does major events around the United States. His name is Chuck Manning, and he's been out here 4 times to study the park, to meet with RTD, to meet with a whole bunch of different people. And he has done the planning for the Lake Placid Olympics, the last American Olympics in Atlanta. He's done the 2 Woodstock festivals in '94 and '99, not the original one. That was before his time, although he's been doing this a while.
He could have used his help.
Yeah, absolutely. He has done the Coachella Music Festival, which is a festival that we do that does about 70,000 people, and he's worked on a whole bunch of other stuff that I can go into, but it's redundant. And he'll be making his 5th trip out here next week. Our plan is to not only discourage, but to promote how you can get to the park without affecting the neighborhood. We're going to spend in the neighborhood of $500,000 to $1 million to market and promote this festival, because we want to get through the first year and make everybody happy so we can have a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years. AEG has been spearheading festivals around the world, including, to be honest, getting involved in the New Orleans Jazz Fest. And that has been, if any of you have been there, it is a wonderful festival and has been one of the great things for New Orleans, one of the few great things. And we've been responsible for that festival, which is, I'm very proud of, that our company took the reins on a festival that was going under. There's been a hugely successful festival in Austin called Austin City Limits Festival, which is in the middle of downtown Austin in Zolker Park, which does about 70,000 a day. There's a huge festival in Chicago called Lollapalooza that's in Grand Street Park. That has been a bonanza for Chicago. And now there's plans this coming year to do a festival in Golden Gate Park. And they just announced a new festival that's going to be, not even our companies, other promoters in Philadelphia, just in the last few days. And I promoted 1,400 shows at Red Rocks. This is the greatest amphitheater in the world. I'm very proud of that. We'll continue. We're already holding 18 shows for next summer. But having an inner city urban festival with multi-acts, with something special for kids, we feel is something that we don't have here, and it's been an important contribution for other cities. I mean, it's put New Orleans and Austin on the map as far as that festival. Brittany can go into detail regarding our contributions and financial stuff, because we are going to give back, and the city has been great talking to us and city council people about how we can do that, because if we can't give back, there's no point. It's not fair. We are in the business to make money, to be honest. I'm a businessman, but I'm also a music lover. And I try to blend both of them, and have for 37 years. But why don't you go into detail about some of the contributions and stuff we're going to be detailing?
My name is Brittany Morris, and I work at CRL Associates. We're the political consultant helping AEG Live with community outreach and political outreach. We went into it a little bit in the video, but we will be contributing a certain percentage of ticket sales directly into City Park. Let me explain a little bit further. We are required to pay a 10% seat tax. So 10% per ticket goes directly to the city. This is in addition to paying normal sales tax, liquor tax, any other taxes that we're required to pay. We also have a 10% seat tax. We have, usually that money goes directly into theaters and arenas. The reason being, most of these admission-based events are hosted at Red Rocks. So the extra money goes into that facility and improvements in that facility. Well, we're not at Red Rocks. So we have gotten commitments from the mayor, from head of theaters and arenas, and from the head of parks that half of our 10% seat tax will be donated into City Park. A lot of people follow with the question, well, that's great, you're giving us a big check, so is this just to clean up your mess that you've left? Not true. We are going to be putting up $50,000 damage deposit in the park. We will be looking at the park before we move in. required to clean it up within 3 days after the festival, get completely out. And after that, we will assess the damages. If it is greater than $50,000, Chuck is required to clean up any substantial damages in the park. Outside of that, this money that's coming in, the half of the 10% seat tax can go to anything that the Parks and Recreation Department, City Park specifically, I'm sure they'll want some input from the community, from the City Park Alliance on what those monies are used for, because they're not designated.
And by the way, we estimate even our first year that to be somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000 to go right into City Park.
And we'll only grow each year. We're capped at 50,000. We put that cap on ourselves, 50,000 people per day in the park. Secondly, we understand and appreciate the fact that we are in between neighborhood associations. We explained our parking permit plan for neighbors within a mile of the park. And also we're going to be providing barricades on each street that say residential parking only. But we can get into that later. I'm sure you'll have follow-up questions. In addition to the 10% seat tax, we are going to be contributing $1 per paid ticket, so per day, to a nonprofit. We haven't determined what that nonprofit is yet. That will strictly benefit the neighborhood surrounding the park. So it would not be for the park. It would be for neighborhood benefit and whatever opportunities the neighborhood would fit to put that money towards. Again, we haven't named the nonprofit yet. We're still doing our research and figuring out.
We, by the way, will not. We're just going to give a check to you guys.
It's a donation.
It's a donation.
We're looking at either establishing, paying for the legal cost to set up a nonprofit that's directly the beneficiary of this money, or if there's a safe place that's already established where we can put the money and it's a grant situation where it goes back into the neighborhoods, similar to what the Denver Foundation does. So we're looking at the safest place to put this money, because at the end of the day, we don't want to micromanage the money, but we also don't want to read the paper in 5 years seeing that it went to a holiday party or something that wasn't a holiday party and a benefit. So we're coordinating with Carla Madison on that, and she's actually setting up a committee of the 5 core neighborhood groups surrounding the park, which she can talk about later if you have follow-up questions, but she is going to solicit City Park West participation on that committee to figure out.
Let me just also add, we've made a huge outreach to the business community, the church community. We've met with several churches so far, and we're going to continue to reach and to help them out for this weekend. We met with Father Tom of the big church right down the street from here, and sat there and played him the presentation and said, this is what we'd like to do. We understand you have a church service on Sunday morning, and we don't want our people to park in your so they can't go to church. So we're going to provide a security person, and we're going to give you as many passes as you want for all your people that go to church. And our people will stop unless you have that pass from Father Tom. You're not going to get into his parking lot. And to be honest, he said, I've been running this church for 18 years here, and there have been 1,000 events in City Park. No one's ever came to me before an event and said, what can I do to help? We went with George Sparks, the museum. We're going to add extra security. And we came up with an idea for George, which he loved, which is the museum closes at 5 o'clock on the weekends. What we're going to have is a big sign saying that after about 5:30, unless you have a special pass, which we're going to give George for all of his workers, a private party if he has it there, you're going to be towed away from his parking lots. So people can't sneak in there, stay until 10 o'clock for our festival. And we're going to provide and pay for the extra security for that.